Good morning, dear students. So we are in the topic called as human health and diseases. Right. Yesterday we completed the topic Plasmodium vivax. Now today we'll start Entamoeba histolytica. Okay. Okay. Entamoeba histolytica was first discovered by Lamble. Entamoeba histolytica was first discovered by Lamble. Then it is a protozoan parasite. Okay. Monogenetic parasite, enterozoic parasite, and histozoic parasite. See how many names are there? So it is a protozoan parasite means what? It belongs to the phylum Protozoa. What is meant by monogenetic? Monogenetic means it completes its life cycle in single host, that is man. Right. And enterozoic means it lives in the intestine. If any parasite lives in the intestine, we call that one as enterozoic. Histozoic, otherwise we can call this one as intercellular. That means in between the cells, in between the tissues. Right. Where does it live? It lives in the large intestine of man. It lives in the large intestine of man, especially in the colon and rectum. Right? Then, pathogenic stage. Pathogenic stage of Entamoeba histolytica is trophozoite. So what is meant by pathogenic stage? Pathogenic stage means which causes the disease. The disease causing stage of Entamoeba histolytica is trophozoite. That means this trophozoite lives in the large intestine of the man and causes the disease. Right? Then, infective stage. Infective stage of Entamoeba histolytica is tetranucleated stage. So tetranucleated stage is the infective stage of Entamoeba histolytica. Then mode of infection. How this parasite is transmitted from one person to another person means by contamination of food and water. Then disease caused by Entamoeba is amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. Amoebiasis or amoebic dysentery. So this is the disease caused by Entamoeba histolytica. Now let us see the life cycle of Entamoeba histolytica. Right. So we discussed about the life cycle. So life cycle between in the life cycle we have two stages we can see. The Entamoeba. One is trophozoite and the second one is tetranucleated cyst. Right. So this trophozoite looks like this. Okay. The trophozoite is the feeding stage of the Entamoeba histolytica and also causes the symptoms of this one. right? So this one is right. So trophozoite is identified by the presence of cartwheel-shaped nucleus and a food vacuole with RBC and chromatoid bodies. What are chromatoid bodies? Chromatoid bodies are the reserve food materials present in the trophozoite. So presence of chromatoid bodies is a characteristic feature of the trophozoite. Remember that one. So this trophozoite undergoes binary fissions. It divides into two daughter forms. One is the one daughter form develops into trophozoite again, and another daughter form develops into minuta form, and this minuta form, in the minuta form, the nucleus divides into two times by mitosis and form four daughter nuclei. This is called as tetranucleated stage. And now at this stage, this minuta form develops a cyst wall around itself. Okay, this cyst wall is called as tetranucleated cyst, right? So these tetranucleated cysts are passed out along with the human fecal matter. When this human fecal matter gets contaminated with food and water, this tetranucleated cyst enters into our stomach. In the stomach, an enzyme called as trypsin. This trypsin dissolves the cyst wall. Once the trypsin dissolves the cyst wall, the tetranucleated stage is liberated out. Again, they divide by mitosis and forms 8 daughter forms. These 8 daughter forms are called as metacystic forms. These metacystic forms feed and develop into trophozoites. They are developing into the trophozoites. Now, what the disease is that is causing Entamoeba histolytica? Entamoeba histolytica causes a disease called as amoebiasis. So, what is amoebiasis means? The trophozoites cause ulcers in the large intestine. They are causing ulcers in the large intestine. Then what are the symptoms? If you see the symptoms include stomach pain, cramps, blood and mucus in the stools. Blood and mucus in the stools. Okay. So, in the stools or in the fecal matter comes along with the blood and mucus. Then how can you identify that person is suffering with amoebiasis? The person is suffering with amoebiasis, we can identify by examining the stools. In the stools, we can see the presence of trophozoite stages. How you identify the trophozoite means by presence of the chromatoid bodies, cartwheel-shaped nucleus, and RBC loaded food vacuole. Right? Then how do you treat? What is the treatment given? Metronidazole. So what is the drugs given? This one means the drugs are given for amoebiasis are metronidazole or tinidazole. Tinidazole or metronidazole are given as a drug for the treatment of amoebiasis. So this completes about the Entamoeba histolytica. Now, right, we'll continue the next one, roundworm, that is Ascaris lumbricoides. So this Ascaris lumbricoides is commonly called as common roundworm. So it is commonly called as a common roundworm, and it belongs to the phylum phylum Aschelminthes. Aschelminthes. It belongs to the phylum Aschelminthes. And most common worm found in man is roundworm. The scientific name of roundworm is Ascaris lumbricoides. Remember that. So this is one of the question which is asked in the previous examinations. The most common worm found in the man is roundworm. Right. Then it is enterozoic parasite. Enterozoic means, I told you, which lives in the intestine of man. It is an enterozoic parasite and coelozoic parasite. Coelozoic means lives in the lumen of small intestine. Enterozoic means which lives in the small intestine. Coelozoic means it lives in the cavity. That means inside the lumen of the small intestine. Right. Then infective stage. Infective stage. Embryonated egg. So generally they will be asking the infective stages and pathogenic stages. With the second stage, okay, the infective stage is embryonated egg with a second stage rhabditiform larva. Then what is mode of infection? Mode of infection is contamination. Okay, you understand? Mode of infection means it is contamination. Contamination means what? Contamination of food and water. So infective stages, you have to remember the infective stages. Right? Infective stages are embryonated eggs with second stage rhabditiform larva, and mode of infection is contamination. Then mostly seen in children. Why? Children generally plays in the mud, right? And these embryonated eggs, generally, I told you that contamination of food and water, I told, right? So generally, the embryonated eggs are mixed up with the mud, and those eggs comes in beneath the nails, and without proper washing the hands, if the children keep their fingers in their mouth or eat the food without washing the hands, these embryonated eggs can enter into our body. There they start their life cycle. Okay, now let us see the continuation about, let us learn about the worm. How does it looks? It is the longest nematode. Longest nematode present in the body of man. I'm sorry, it is not longest nematode. Aschelminthes. It is the longest worm present in the body of man. So how is the body? The body is thin, long, with tapering ends. Tapering ends means pointed ends. Okay. Then the body is covered by thick cuticle. Remember that. The body is covered by thick cuticle. Which one is secreting the thick cuticle means the epidermis of the body secretes the thick cuticle. And this thick cuticle protects the worm from the intestinal secretions. So the worm can easily survive in our body by the presence of the thick cuticle. Then if you see the gut, gut means alimentary canal. Gut is complete gut. Complete gut means what? It is having both mouth and anus. Where the mouth is present? Mouth is present at the anterior end and anus is present at the posterior end. And these are sexually dimorphic. So what is the meaning of sexually dimorphic? Sexually dimorphic means these worms are having both the male and female worms are different from each other. That means we can see two morphological forms, right? So see here. Right. So this is the female worm and this is the male worm. Females are longer than the males. Remember that. Females are longer than the males and the females are having a straight posterior tail. Then what about the males? In the males, the tail is curved. And the curved end of this tail consists of pineal setae. Pineal setae or copulatory setae, which helps in the copulation. You understand the differences now? The male worm is the shorter when compared to the female. And the male worm is having a curved posterior tail, whereas the female is having a straight posterior tail. And the curved posterior end of the male consists of pineal setae. Okay, this pineal setae is also called as what? Copulatory setae. So what is the use of this copulatory setae means? They are useful in the process of copulation. Okay. Now let us see the life cycle. So it is a monogenetic parasite. Monogenetic means what? Complete its life cycle in only one host, right? That is the man. Then it lives in the small intestine of man. Right? Then the female worm lays 2 lakhs eggs per day. And these eggs are sent out right? These eggs are sent out along with the feces. So when the eggs get contaminated with food and water, these fertilized eggs are enters into the stomach of man. Let us see. These eggs are sent out along with the feces. Then the eggs hatch and transform or develop into second stage, rhabditiform larva. Remember that the second stage rhabditiform larva is the infective stage to the man, right? The second stage rhabditiform larva is swallowed along with the food and water when the food and water gets contaminated with this one. That means how the food and water contaminated. Generally, you know that in the villages, people go for the defecation in the open fields. So when they defecate, if an infected person with ascaris gets defecated on the soil, along with the feces, the eggs are coming outside and they are lies on the soil. But in the rainy season, if the person is infected, this fecal matter is washed along with the rainwater. Okay, and this rainwater mixes with the canal water. In the canal water, the person consumes. The person consumes that canal water without proper filtration or without heating. These rhabditiform larvae enters into the stomach of man. After entering into the stomach of man, what they are doing now? The rhabditiform larva invade intestinal mucosa and reach alveoli of lungs through portal and blood circulations. Okay, from the alveoli of lungs it reaches to the bronchial tree. From the bronchi it reaches to the trachea. From the trachea again it reaches to the what we can say pharynx. In the pharynx, it is swallowed. Swallowed and reaches the stomach. Reaches the stomach. Right? So further development takes place in the stomach. Okay. Right, we'll see the flow chart how this parasite is traveling. So from the intestinal mucosa, it is reaching the lungs. Inside the lungs, it is matures. Maturation of the parasite occurs in the lungs. From the lungs, alveoli. From alveoli, trachea. From trachea, it reaches the pharynx. From pharynx, it is swallowed and reaches the stomach. And from a stomach, it reaches the small intestine. Okay. So, the parasite can survive in the small intestine up to 2 years. Right? It can survive in the small intestine up to 2 years. So, this completes about this one. Now, let us see mode of transmission. Mode of transmission. How this parasite is transmitted? By contamination. By contamination of vegetables, okay, or fruits and water. By consuming contaminated foods, contaminated vegetables, fruits and more water. Right. Then infection spreads through what? Infection spreads through only second stage larva. Right. So only if this larva enters into the body, then only the infection occurs. Otherwise, the infection does not take place. Then what are the symptoms? Loss of appetite,